Hello, everyone. My name is Bree Tanner, and I am so excited to have the honor and the opportunity to share a few stories of hope from mamas just like you or those you know. We're going to be sharing stories tonight of those who were in a season that they were trying to conceive, those who were coming from a season that they really had to heal their body with a cancer diagnosis before kids, and those that were just intentional on making sure that they were doing the best they could with their prenatal choice and how that really affected their postpartum journey and their breastfeeding journey. So I'm excited to dive in. At first, I'm going to share Miss Katrina's story. So you're going to get to hear her story here. And I did, in classic mom fashion, have to ask them to record these ahead of time. So I am going to be sharing my screen as I'm sharing part of their stories that they have got going. So we'll dive in with Miss Katrina first.
Hi everyone, my name is Katrina Goodwin, and I'm going to share with you why I chose Juice Plus as my prenatal. I have three beautiful Juice Plus babies who were all born on Juice Plus. And with that being said, I want to first share about my daughter Grace. Grace was my first. She's 7 years old, fixing to be 8. And with Grace, I did not understand the research. First child, I was scared to death of everything. The doctor recommended I take a prenatal, so I did. But I showed the doctor the research at Juice Plus and told her I was going to pair Juice Plus with it and explained it was just food. At that time, I did not realize what the research had shown on Juice Plus, or I would have just used it as my prenatal. Once I understood the research, I stopped my prenatal. My prenatal was a prescribed prenatal. It was very expensive. It was, at the time, she's 7 years old. At the time, it was like $80. It was making me super sick. I honestly couldn't even remember how to take it half the time. But one thing I never stopped taking was my Juice Plus. Once I understood that my body was receiving more nutrients from Juice Plus than the prenatal, it was an easy switch for me. My kids are hardly sick. I had healthy babies. They thrive in life. When they do get sick, what I do notice versus other kids, they recover faster. But let me tell you something that the Juice Plus did for me versus other mamas. I took the capsules, the fruit, veggie, berry, and omegas, and I also drank the shakes. I doubled my capsules like Dr. Odom recommends in the prenatal recommendation with Juice Plus, and I produced so much milk. My husband would have told you I could have worked for Gandy's Milk as one of their Jersey cows. I was able to donate over 3,000 ounces with each baby to another family. When I was pregnant with my last Graham, he's just turned 2, I was able to feed him for 14 months and feed another baby for a full year. And not only that, guys, each one of my nursing stories, I made it to 14 months. I honestly could have made it longer. My milk body was still producing milk, but it was just time for me to wean for myself and the baby. My children stopped wanting breast milk at that point. But I had built up such a milk supply, they were able to drink the breast milk in sippy cups and bottles. The other thing that I swear by Juice Plus during my prenatal story was, I swear it helps with postpartum. With my first, I suffered with postpartum when she was 3 months old. Every mama out there who is pregnant or trying to get pregnant, I recommend you get on the omegas. And the reason is it helps with the baby's brain and eye development. When we nurse our bodies, the baby sucks all the fat out of our brain. And what happens with that causes the depression in our body. And so I got on a call with Dr. Sears, and he explained to me that the omegas will help replace the fat in your brain. And I swear it was a game changer. I did not have postpartum with my second or my third children. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you. But if you're even thinking about Juice Plus, guys, it's an easy decision. The research sells it all. Don't question it. Just say yes and give you and your baby the best gift you can. Thank you for letting
Okay, so I love hearing Katrina's story. She's also a dear, dear friend, but just hearing the difference of a mama who has more than one and the difference that she felt and saw in herself, as well as the private conversations I've had with her about what her husband noticed through those times as well, is so exciting and so encouraging by just making one simple change. Now, this second mama that I'm going to share her story is someone that some of you may actually already know. She recorded this ahead of time for me, and she does go into a little bit more of her entire health story. So, this is going to be something that you will get to hear from her with her athletic abilities, the tragic news that she got with with a health scare, and then how she battled through that and how she has become a beautiful mama of five now. So, I am going to hand it over and share Alexis's story. So, here we go.
Hi, my name is Alexis Busselman, and I am really excited to have a chance to share with you today a little bit about my health journey. And so, if I had to say there was a starting point, I'd say probably when I was in high school. I was a national level athlete, and during my senior year, I signed my letter of intent to swim at a Division I program that next fall. And so, from the outside, I was fit, I was strong, and I was on my way to be a college athlete. And so, you can definitely know the devastation I felt as I was diagnosed with cancer just a few weeks before I was scheduled to leave. And again, I had no idea that you could be so fit and strong on the outside, but yet be sick on the inside. And it really fueled my education and my desire to be knowledgeable about root causes and nutrition and lifestyle choices and all of those things. And so that's really when my research and my passion for nutrition really started. I was really fortunate because I was introduced to Juice Plus as a child. And so it was a product that I had been consuming already for years and that I feel like really helped support me as I went into this next chapter of my health story in battling cancer. It was also with me through a season in college where you don't eat very well. And when I met my husband, I told him that it was something that he should take as well because someday we really wanted to have healthy babies. And I did not really know the extent of the research, but I knew that it does make an impact in the health of your children. And that was really important to me. Because of that diagnosis, I wanted to make sure that my children someday would be as healthy as possible. And so it was the prenatal of choice that I used during my pregnancies. And it was when our first daughter was a few years old that people started questioning and asking us about her health. And it was at that point that we realized Juice Plus had been doing amazing things for us. At a couple years old, she had not had a sick visit to the doctor, had not had an antibiotic, had not dealt with a lot of the traditional ailments that kids face these days, eczema and allergies and ear infections and things like that just were not part of her health story. And so I realized then what an amazing role Juice Plus was playing in our health. And I saw that play out again and again as we had our second, our third, and our fourth baby. It served me so well in my prenatal nutrition and through my breastfeeding journeys. And I would just say, if you're a parent and you are watching this, Juice Plus is something that you are providing to your children, the long-term payoff of what this does in the body is absolutely incredible. You're doing a really great thing. And so I feel super blessed that this is something that not only I have had for over the last 20 years, but now it's something my children have had every single day.
Right. I think Alexis's story is always one of my favorites. And another dear friend of mine, I am lucky enough to have grown up in this healthy living community. So these positive women that you just got to see a few of are just the tip of the iceberg of what this community has in store for you. I think that is one of my absolute favorite things. I, very much like Alexis, was introduced to the product when I was just 5 or 6 years old. My parents were shared this by a personal trainer just because one of my older brothers was a little bit sick. And because of his sicknesses, continuous sicknesses, this was shared with them. My parents are very big on the research. And as you probably heard, Katrina talking about Dr. Odom and Alexis talking about the research studies, there's a lot behind this. So if you are someone who makes decisions by science, we got you. If you're someone who makes decisions by hearing those stories, I would love to introduce you to more moms because this is something that was helpful for me. As a young kiddo, going through high school, going through college, I very much relate to what Alexis said about getting into college and having that season where you just don't eat as well. And having that time where I also, like Alexis, looked like the epitome of health from the outside. I would have never known that my body was starting to fall apart in high school and college. I went to yearly physicals. I did not have sick visits. I played multiple sports. I was always in shape. I always, I never struggled with anything that my friends had. I didn't have anxiety. I didn't have any attention disorders. I didn't have any kind of skin issues or anything like that. But when I got to college, my body started to change and I couldn't figure out exactly what was going on. I started for the first time having worse sleepless nights where I could not fall asleep, which then resulted in attention problems that I was struggling with. I started having anxiety and panic attacks out of the blue. I know my eating had changed a little bit, but this was something that was completely polarized for me. I'd never lived a life like this. I started having cystic acne that covered my face, covered my arms, my chest, my back. It got so bad I couldn't even put a shirt on. And this was the start of my body trying to tell me something was happening. The reason I share this with you is because then I went through a season that at just 22 years old, my doctors told me I was going through menopause and I would never be able to have kids. At the time, I didn't want them, but having that choice taken away from me was not what I wanted either. It was something that if I chose not to have them, that would have been mine, right? But having that choice made for me because my body was failing when it had never failed before was something was really, really hard to hear. And because of this community, like Alexa said, I fell into this. I dove in, got to know, worked with doctors like Katrina said with Dr. Odom, had multiple conversations like she did with Dr. Sears, and talked with them about how can I heal my body? How can this be happening? How can I be going through menopause at 22? Why are kids completely off the table? I've never even been sick before. How could this work? And this healthy living community alongside of these products truly helped me turn the trajectory of my life around. It took a while. It was probably a 3 to 5 year journey for me that I worked with pharmacists, I worked with different doctors, and worked through how to change the workouts I was doing, how to change how I was managing my stress, how to change the food that was on my plate. More so, this community helped me truly change my lifestyle so that I could have the life I wanted. I am now lucky enough to be the mama to a beautiful, healthy, just over 1 year old baby boy. When my husband and I got the news that we were expecting, it was the biggest shock, the biggest surprise. I remember my healthcare providers telling me, okay, Brianna, you might, like, I don't know what you've done. I know you've been working so hard at healing this and getting your hormones to re regulate, and they had never seen this before, but you need to be careful, right? Like, you could actually conceive now. And that was something that I never thought I would get to hear. And so going through the journey of this and being in that season of waiting is not easy. And it is something that I think is not talked about often, just like the journey of postpartum and walking through that. I know Katrina really shared a lot on her journey of her postpartum with her first, and then not having those struggles because of the addition of the omegas, right? Helping heal the healthy fats in your brains. These are the kinds of stories that we're really wanting to make sure that more people hear and more people know that normal does not mean common, does not mean normal, right? You should be in a season that you can love on that little one. You should be in a season that you are having less of this mom brain, right? Because nutritionally, we want to help you fill the gaps and bridge the gaps of what your body needs while that baby is taking so much, whether you are pregnant, wanting to get pregnant, you're nursing, not wanting to nurse. Postpartum looks so different for every single mama, and the journey to get pregnant looks so different for every mom. So we wanted to share these stories with you just to help encourage you, inspire you if you are in that season of waiting, that there are things you can do. That even if you have a daughter who is in high school, who has just started her cycle, there are things that you can be doing to help her reproductive journey down the road to help her health. I remember when another Juice Plus mama shared this tidbit with me. I think this is when it really hit me that you, as a mom, if you give birth to a little girl, what you do for your health right now is not only changing your body or that daughter of yours body, but if she has a little girl as well, the foods that you are eating, the drinks that you are consuming, all of the things that we talk about with our healthy living journey in our community here, you are affecting your generation, your daughter's generation, and your granddaughter's generation if there were three girls, just because of the anatomy we have. And what power that has, what like inspiration that should cause you to get up and talk to others about how you can improve your body, your health, your kids' health. And then if you have a little girl, her kids' health too, you have the power to do that by looking into things like this, by taking care of your body and truly fueling your body really well. So I do want to go through a little bit about what we're talking about in case you are new here to the community and you're unsure what I'm even talking about. You probably heard us talking about a product called Juice Plus. And so I want to share a little bit more about what this is and what this looks like. So I am going to share my screen one more time. There we go. Because I want to share a little bit about what this is. And so you have an idea of what it is we're even talking about. So here we go. Okay. Perfect. Okay, that should be up. So a little bit more about what this is. These are the plant powders of what we're talking about. The product is called Juice Plus. You heard each of us mention this in our stories, whether it was helping us heal, like Alexis was talking about, helping her heal her body from her cancer diagnosis. Katrina talking about the differences in her pregnancies by adding different products on. The amount that Alexis and I and Katrina all share in the beautiful part of our breastfeeding journeys and how we were all three able to supply more than just we needed for our littles, but also though enough to help other families that were needing that as well. This is a very common thing in the Juice Plus world. So we want to share a little bit more about what these plant powders are that you heard us talking about. So these are the essentials. These are the plants that are included in these products, and many people confuse this with a vitamin supplement. You heard Katrina talk about her doctors encouraging her to take a prenatal. And so this is something that we want to go through. This is different, right? This is in a supplement form, as you can see the bottles that have capsules in them, but it is not a supplement. It is concentrated whole foods. These are plant powders that you can get in a capsule or a shake. These shakes were a game changer for me postpartum, an easy, quick meal you could shake up with a baby in one hand. And this just took one hand, but then I was well fueled through that entire journey. Also, having the option to take capsules or gummies. As you know, during pregnancy, your taste buds change. A lot of that changes, and sometimes it's easier to keep certain things down. So, having the opportunity to eat a gummy or take a capsule was a game changer for me in this. This powerful nutrition with these plant powders is also backed by 30 years of gold standard clinical research, with now over 50 clinical journal studies at leading research institutions around the world. This is huge because this is humans eating these products and institutions researching different things of how that is affected on humans in these journeys, how it affects our bodies in real time. There is no other product on the market like this, and this is why this is truly a standalone product and why so many doctors feel so comfortable recommending this to pregnant mamas, breastfeeding mamas, or those in the trying to conceive section, just because this is something that has so much research. So I know each of us talked about that. So if you are a research person, we would love to share a little bit more about that. If you're not a research person, that's okay. We can still share a very layman's term on how this can really help with this. Now, I know that it's proven to do what plants do in our bodies. You can see all these beautiful colors, all these plants. Can you imagine what would happen if you ate that every single day? That is what each of us who consume these products get. All of these products every single day. The best part is also is I know Alexis mentioned this, but then also having the power to give this to your little. Think about your taste buds growing and changing. Think about the power of nutrition on how you notice Katrina talking about her kids are sick for less time when they get sick, right? Because all of our kids have had all of this from day one through the breastfeeding journey that each of us had as well as we all introduce this to our children around 4 to 6 months, giving it to them in now. We have a beautiful superfoods packet, which makes that so nice and easy. You can easily dump it. They just think it's fruit juice and drink it. You can continue to open the capsules and put it into their favorite pouch or puree. It's so nice to be able to also have a huge mom win and get things like this into your kids every single day. Because in the reality, the majority of us can't, won't, or just don't, or we either can't, won't, or don't want to eat the 7 to 13 servings of raw produce every day that is recommended for a normal, quote unquote, normal person. If you are pregnant, if you are breastfeeding, if you are trying to conceive, you need more than 7 to 13 servings. So this variety, this rainbow of colors is going to be something that is so, so helpful for you in this journey. So now I want you to really think about this. I know that I'm talking about plant powders and you're probably thinking, what does that even mean? So this is the difference. You see the beets here in the background of this picture, and you see this spoon with a powder on it. The only difference between the beets in the background and the spoon sitting on top is water. The spoon sitting on top of that powder is what you are going to get in the Juice Plus products. It is the exact same as the beets in the background. The water is taken out. The way the process this is, we have lots of videos and lots of information. If you want to know the nitty-gritty details, this was one of my favorite parts to really learn. I have my bachelor's degree in nutrition, and so I do enjoy the science part. I like to know the hows and the whats and how this can really work. But to know that this was all blended together with the seeds, with the peels, with everything, every part of the nutrient dense plant that a lot of us don't actually eat, like an orange peel. And then it's blended together and dried at a really low temperature to give us that beautiful, vibrant powder. And that is what's put in the capsule. That is what's put in the gummy. That's what's put in those superfood packets. That's what's put in those shakes. That is why this nutrient dense powder does what it does, because it truly has so much in it. This is what makes these essentials what we call functional food, because it's just had the water removed. So I want you to see here the bottles of if you were to take the capsules and just to see the variety of what we have option wise for someone to do. I love to help mamas or soon to be mamas get started by picking what works for your budget. What is something you can do consistently? Because every little bit counts, right? We can start someone with all four of them, which if you are pregnant, you are breastfeeding, you're trying to conceive, I highly recommend all four. I love how Katrina noted about the omegas because that is so, so helpful, especially for your littles. We are called fatheads for a reason, y'all. We need these healthy fats. But you can see here why we choose these. You'll see the nutrition facts label on the fruits, the vegetables, and the berries, going through and even listing out exactly what plants are included in those. You'll notice that the supplements label on the omega, that is to include because we wanted the full breakdown of the omega blend, showing the percentages and the milligrams amount for the omega-3, 5, 6, 7, and 9 is a full spectrum omega, which is why it has such powerful benefits for mental health, including in that postpartum era. But these nutrition facts is exactly what you would see if you went grocery shopping and you grabbed a bag of frozen peas at the grocery store, right? Because it's just food. And this is something that I love to see. So if your doctor is recommending you eat more fruits and vegetables, which doctor isn't, this is something that's going to go hand in hand with that because it is that. It is functional food. So I'm so excited. I know that this is something that I always love to make sure to add in. We are not making any claims to prevent, to cure, to treat any illness or disease. These are our stories of hope. This is what we wanted to share with you because truly we want to make sure that you understand the hope of what plants can do, the hope of what this community can do. This is something that there is so much more than just the products on those screens, right? This little capsule has drastically changed the three of ours lives and our families. It's amazing to me to think that Katrina, Alexis, and my children are going to grow up with this nutritional foundation for the rest of their lives. I was introduced to this when I was 5 or 6. Alexis was introduced around the same time. Katrina's been taking this, I think it was high school when she started. So we have a beautiful background of having this foundation for well over 10 to 20 years before any of us became moms. But whether you are in that season where maybe you're already a mom and you're just now hearing about this, what a beautiful blessing for your kids that you can give them, that they can be just like us. What a beautiful blessing that you can give yourself as you're recovering. Did you know they say on average it takes at least 2 years for your physical body to recover after having a baby. How many have 2 under 2, right? We are not in a season that we wait, right? We're in a season that most people have those kiddos back to back. They say for your hormones, I've been told by my specialists, it takes 6 to 7 years for your hormones to regulate back to normal after each child. I don't know anybody that waits 6 to 7 years, right? And so this is something that we want to come alongside of you and support you in this journey. I love working with mamas. I love working with families. And so I'm hopeful that Katrina, Alexis, or my story really spoke to you at those different seasons, whether you're in that season of trying to conceive. Maybe you've been told you can't have kids and that's not the life you want. And so we're not here to put any promises. We're not here to put any claims on this in general, but we are here to share our stories. We are here to share the hope of what these products and this community provided for our families. And we will shout from the rooftops to make sure that every single family hears these. So if you have any questions, I would love for you to reach out. The three of us are open books and would love to share more about our stories with you in detail. If you have specific questions, reach out to the person who invited you to this event tonight. Reach out to the person who sent you this video. We have so many resources. If your doctor or your healthcare providers are a little hesitant, rightfully so, because there's a lot of products on the market. If they want to know more about this, we have tons of information on the research to show. We've got lots of doctors that love to have these calls to get more doctors on board sharing this amazing product because it's functional food. It is just plants. And there is one thing that I know will positively impact everything in your life: more fruits and vegetables. So I hope you enjoyed the stories tonight. I'm excited. I love the opportunity that I have to share mine and Katrina and Alexis's stories with you and give you a little taste of what this Juice Plus community can be. Thank you.